Good morning, everyone. Enjoy the balmy weather today because it's not going to last. More on that later. First of all, I want to recognize our Superintendent of Police, our Superintendent of State Police, I should say, Superintendent James, who's joined us here today. The Acting Superintendent of Department of Financial Services, Caitlin Asbro. I want to thank her for her service as well. Assemblymember David Weprin has joined us, members of my rest of my cabinet, as well as, I know we had Manhattan Borough President had to leave very quickly, but he was here, Brad Hoylman, David Weprin, as I mentioned, and Gil Seigler from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. We're here to continue our journey to drive down costs for New Yorkers. It's been a long journey. I've made affordability a cornerstone of my agenda since I first became governor, and we've tried to take on the high cost of rent, the high cost of childcare, the high cost of utilities. But when New Yorkers are paying their bills, There's yet another bill that keeps going up and up and up, and that is the cost of their car insurance. Now, we have delivered real relief, over $5,000 for many families between last year and this, when we have the largest middle-class tax rate cut in 70 years. We have a child tax credit. We had our inflation rebate. We have many, many more opportunities to help New Yorkers. But I told my team, keep digging. Find solutions to why the bills are so damn high. And they've been successful. And I came here today because there's been a problem that has gone unspoken about for many, many years. Don't know why. Well, when I see a problem, I have no problem raising it to the surface and finding solutions. And that certainly must be known as the sky-high cost of car insurance. So I came to this site today, kind of a graveyard of vehicles, many damaged by accidents. And some accidents are truly that, just accidents. Things happen. But others are the result of a system that's riddled with bad actors and fraud and excessive greed, that's rewarding criminal and bad actors' behaviors. And who loses out? New Yorkers. And for millions of New Yorkers, owning a vehicle is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And we are blessed here in the city of New York and downstate to have a world-class public transit system. And you know I've invested more in public transit more than any other governor, and I'll continue to do so. But there are millions of New Yorkers outside this region who do not have the benefit of a public transit system. Their car is everything. Now, they're not necessarily 2027, 2026 brand new models. You go to where I come from, we used to register cars as my job as a county clerk. There are many 5, 7, 10, 15-year-old vehicles, and despite their age, they're still essential to getting to a job or getting to a hospital. So I understand this. I understand how essential, but even in New York City, how do you think the delivery trucks get around? They have to have car insurance, or our taxi cabs and our for-hire rides. All of them are bearing a cost that is being pushed on to you, the ratepayers here in the state. And what's very alarming, when this came to light, I said we have to do something. New York has the highest insurance rates in the nation, average about $4,000 a year. That's $1,500 more than the national average. And if you go down to Brooklyn, where half the households rely on cars, it's actually about $6,700 a year on average. That's a lot of money out of people's pockets. So it doesn't happen because New Yorkers are doing something wrong. They exist because, as I said, of rampant fraud and runaway litigation costs and prices being jacked up. Now, I wanted some more numbers on this. New York has the second highest number of staged accidents in the U.S., a number that has gone up 34% just since 2021. Staged accidents, not real victims, people trying to defraud the system. Uninsured drivers, scofflaw motorists, drunk drivers are distorting our risk pool. And our no-fault fraud reports of accidents constitute about 75% of all fraud reports that go to the Department of Financial Services. So, many people are collecting outsized payouts, costs that get passed on to law-abiding motorists in the form of higher monthly bills. Now, the stories are legendary, and many others can tell you that, but I'll just give you a few examples. Last summer, 2 men were caught fleecing drivers with a complicated scheme on the Belt Parkway, and they literally were putting lives at risk in so doing. Speeding along that highway, they would pinpoint their victims and then abruptly swerve to cut them off, making it almost impossible to avoid a violent collision. In one of these staged accidents, when their victim did manage to evade this maneuver, they then, because they still wanted to victimize this individual and profit off of them, they then rammed the person in reverse and pretended they were the ones who were injured. And this is what's happening on our streets. In another, they fled in a getaway car before filing over almost $80,000 in personal injury claims that were false. Now, these criminals are facing up to 15 years in prison, and there's many more like them. So, again, who gets shafted in this? New York motorists. Whether it's parents with kids in the back seat or a senior citizen trying to get to a doctor appointment. It's wrong and it's dangerous, and New Yorkers should not have to pay any more than standard coverage as they do in other states. And for those driving without a license, those who are driving drunk or committing a felony at the time of the crash, they should not get a payout for their behavior. So this year we're hitting the brakes on fraud, putting an end to a system that rewards dangerous behavior and deliver relief for millions of drivers across the state. Let's start by reforming our tort laws. Now, we want to protect the people who play by the rules and insulate the personal injury system from abuse. And I know how we can do this effectively. Florida took this issue on. They implemented similar changes, and their auto insurance rates did plummet, upwards of 20%. Over a couple of years, these savings can really make a difference. We've also managed to talk about how we can enforce the law better. I'm adding $2 million to our state police and more resources to our Department of Financial Services for investigations to crack down on the scammers. And we'll partner with careful, law-abiding motorists to incentivize safe driving. Because we know affordable auto insurance is an essential staple of our society. We have to be able to move goods and get people where they need to go. It determines not just the well-being of our families, but also the well-being of our economy. And by tackling the underlying issues that are driving up costs, we can make our streets safer, drive up economic growth, and help our families thrive. And as you know, as governor, there's nothing more important to me than keeping New Yorkers safe. I want to make sure that we have prosperity for our communities, safe roads, and keeping individuals secure as they're on the roads. And also, I don't mind taking on entrenched interests. You stand in our way of fighting fraud and excessive payouts, you got to come through us, because we are standing up on behalf of everyday New Yorkers who are looking for relief. No one has done this before. It's been too controversial, but I don't mind taking this on, because New Yorkers are paying far too much in car premiums, and I'm willing to start that fight starting right now. Thank you, and let me turn it over to our Superintendent of Police, Stephen James.
Good afternoon. I just want to start off by thanking Governor Hochul, certainly for her leadership in providing the resources that we need to protect all of New Yorkers. So in recent years, our state has seen a sharp increase in the suspected incidents of auto insurance fraud. And as we all know, it is not a victimless crime. It drives up insurance premiums for every law-abiding driver, costing the average New Yorker hundreds of more dollars per year. So this proposal, it will result in an aggressive approach with the resources to expand our efforts, working together with law enforcement, working together with our regulatory partners, and it's to disrupt and dismantle the insurance fraud networks across the state of New York. Auto insurance fraud, certainly, it is not a paperwork crime. It is organized, it is deliberate, and it often intersects with other criminal activities. In these cases, they take real investigative work, and that's where these partnerships truly come together. So we work closely with the Department of Financial Services, the Department of Motor Vehicles, local police departments, intelligence processes to identify repeat offenders, and organized groups making targeted arrests ultimately to make a real impact. So in closing, this effort, it brings together statewide authority, specialized investigative units, and a long track record of complex fraud experience and investigations. So we're enforcing the law, we're protecting New Yorkers from rising costs, and certainly we're making a clear picture that fraud will not be tolerated in New York State.
I'd like to welcome up the Vice Chair of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, Gil Seigler.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank Governor Hochul for taking this bold initiative. As today, New Yorkers are paying some of the highest auto rates in the nation, more than $4,000 a year on average, money that should be in the pockets of our consumers, small businesses, not going to the hands of the people that are committing abuse, fraud, and taking advantage of loopholes. As a small business owner, vice chair of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and someone active in the transportation and the car rental industry, Governor Hochul's plan is a consumer-first approach that targets the real cost of high premiums, stage crashes, as the superintendent said, inflated medical claims, excessive litigation, and weak enforcement. These proposals are going to strengthen and allow the prosecution, reinvigorating the Motor Vehicle Theft and Insurance Fraud Prevention Board, supporting our district attorneys, our police, and holding organizers of stage accidents accountable, not just the driver behind the wheel. As the superintendent said, these are active and sophisticated rings. They also give insurers more time to properly investigate suspicious claims, which is deeply needed, while maintaining strong consumer protections for legitimate policy holders. Just as important, the governor's reforms promote fairness by limiting non-economic payouts for those who are committing serious unlawful acts at the time of the crash and restricting damages when a driver is mostly at fault. By tightening the vague, quote, serious injury, unquote, claims, the threshold with objective medical standards, New York can reduce the jackpot-style lawsuits while protecting those who are seriously hurt and are victims of real accidents. Finally, these changes increase transparency so drivers and consumers can understand when rates change and why, and they'll encourage safer driving through discounts tied to proven technology, because honest drivers need and deserve lower bills. This is about affordability, accountability, and putting money back in the pockets of our consumers and small businesses, making the system work for all of us and not the bad actors. I want to thank again Governor Hochul for taking this bold move that others have not dared to do. Thank you, Governor Hochul.
We can do it. Want to do it? Why don't we do on topic here?
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, guys, well, we can jump on topic questions while we're outside before we move into that
Should I do the topper first?
What's that?
Should I do the topper?
Oh, yeah.
We might just do it all out here. We'll just,
Okay.
okay.
We're going to give you a little topper on what.
We'll wait for Bernadette. All right. How you doing, David?
Okay, good.
We can get this served.
Well, it's funny. A couple reporters.
Get this from you. Get this from you. I think we'll be good. I think there's a lot of support for this. It's good.
I had the original Alice's log, which was the original stage accident. But
It's good. That's good.
okay.
No, you ready? I have a very important message for all New Yorkers. Do not be misled by the balmy day we're having here in New York City. All across the state, New Yorkers are at risk of an extreme weather event, the likes of which we have not seen in many years. I'm talking about extreme cold temperatures, where we're expecting them lasting through Sunday and Monday in some parts of our states. The coldest part will be Saturday. Now, the only good news is that people will not have to have their kids in school, that the work day for many is Monday through Friday. But here's a couple of the temperatures that we're predicting. If you're in the North Country, Mohawk Valley, what it'll feel like on your skin is minus 40 to 50 degrees. Minus 40 to 50 degrees, if you can contemplate that. Other upstate areas, little warmer, minus 30 degrees. And downstate, minus 5 to 10 degrees. I will tell you this. As the first governor of Buffalo sent to Albany since Grover Cleveland, I know all about cold temperature. And when this touches your skin, if you're not properly covered every inch of you, you can succumb to frostbite in seconds. And I'm telling you, we've seen this elsewhere in our state, the extreme cold can be deadly. Absolutely deadly. So please, there's been a lot of reports this year about cold weather, storms coming. This is one you need to take very seriously. And as we talk about some of the things you can prepare for this, I can give you personal advice. Try to not be outside as much as you can, and that might mean stocking up on groceries and water and your pet food and baby food and flashlight batteries, everything you may need now so you don't have to go out in the very cold to go shopping, whether you're walking or driving. If you have to be outside, and we have many people who have to work outside, our first responders, law enforcement, others who are outside, stay hydrated, drink lots of water, drink warm beverages, but actually, here's a pro tip, avoid caffeine. Might be contrary to what you think. Do not bring a thermos of coffee with you, just bring hot water. Multiple layers of clothing, gloves, mittens, socks, insulated hats. There's also really good foot warmers and hand warmers you can buy at the store. Go get those before they run out. So we're also expecting snow all over the state. Late into Saturday, lower Hudson Valley could see 1 to 5 inches. Capital Region 2 to 6. East of Lake Ontario, 6 to 8 inches. But looking into Sunday, we're going to have a significant storm, a snowstorm that's going to impact southeastern New York. New York City, Long Island, Hudson Valley. This is coming for you. Upwards of 1 foot of snow is possible. Now these predictions are changing by the hour, but this is what we know right now, so take it seriously. And it could actually impact the morning commute on Mondays. So pay close attention to updates from the news, plan ahead, limit your unnecessary travel. Again, stock up on what you need now. But also, if you are on the roads, our snow plows are doing their job. They're trying to keep you safe. They need to salt the roads in advance. Don't crowd the plow. Give them the distance to do what they need to do, because roads get slippery. And I've witnessed this with my own eyes and try to help people who literally spin off the road on icy conditions, go into a ravine, and they cannot be seen for some time. So this is a dangerous situation on our roads. So stock up your car as well. What you have in your car could save your life or the lives of your children. Have the shovel. Another pro tip. Cat litter. Why do you need cat litter unless you have a cat? You can literally put that, if you're stuck in a ditch, put it under your tires. When you're trying to get out, it'll give you a little more traction. Keep a shovel with you. I've done this. Again, food and water and extra batteries and clothes. Make sure your cell phone is charged if you go out. That's in your vehicle. So our DOT plows are ready. Our teams are ready on the thruway. We have our emergency management teams positioned, pre-deployed. Our utility crews, almost 6,000, are waiting to go where they're needed most. If power lines come down and we have areas without power for any period of time, it can be dangerous. I speak from experience as someone who lived through a power outage in the heat of a Buffalo storm for about a week with my children. Not easy, not fun. So here's my tip. Be ready for it. And so I just want everybody to take this very, very seriously as we approach what is the impending storm. And stay tuned watching all your local newscasts. Thank you.
Hi, Governor. I have 2 questions for you. The first one, some of the details of this proposal came out last night in the bill language, and it looks like the changes would reduce some crash victims' coverage. For example, the serious injury that was mentioned, the definition gets narrowed, so somebody who before got extra coverage if they were out of work for, say, 90 days will no longer get it. So I'm curious, what you tell to crash victims like that who will no longer get coverage if your bill goes through as proposed. And then I have a second question.
A couple things. One is if you're not at fault, you won't be impacted by these changes. But number 2, if you are at fault, you'll still get your lost wages and medical coverage. You're just not going to get the extra cost awards for pain and suffering. So that's where we're drawing the line.
And then my second question is, yourself and others here have mentioned the stage crashes as a big issue in the state. Do you think, what do you think is worse in the state, the stage crashes or the real crashes?
Well, 75% of the fraud alleged comes from many of our stage crashes. We've had about 1,400 of those in the last couple of years. So those are really dangerous because that means someone's on the road trying to cause an accident and hurt somebody else. And they don't know that that person's going to survive that incident with their lives or even without significant injury. I think that is deeply frightening to me. But all accidents affect someone's life. If, first of all, if there's even minor damage on your vehicle, that's the vehicle that might get you to your job. If you're a minimum wage worker and you're not showing up for your work, you're not getting paid. So it has an impact. Even the smallest fender benders have an impact on someone's life, but it can be much worse than that, resulting in, hospital stays, rehabilitation, loss of life. I mean, it's outrageous what people are willing to do to get a payout for themselves. It's shocking.
To do with the prevalence of medical fraud as well that deals with this, kind of off of what he asked. And then also, how are you going to take on the trial lawyers lobby, who is very opposed to this?
Well, there's a whole, you mentioned the medical fraud first. There's a whole ecosystem of people that are part of this. There are a few outlier doctors who are part of the scam, who are exaggerating the extent of the injuries to make sure they fit under that serious injury definition. So we have to go at it, and that's what law enforcement's going to be doing. And working with our district attorneys as well. We'll be helping our district attorneys set up specialized teams to do this. Our Department of Financial Services work on this. So every facet of this complex scam that's resulting in higher costs for everyday New Yorkers and businesses, we're going after. The trial lawyers should know that we are making sure that when there is abuse, we stop it. That people who are legitimately harmed have a right to recourse, but not to reward those who are intentionally causing these injuries and accidents, not to reward those who are driving without a license or committing a felony in the commission of this or drunk driving. I don't think there's anybody who thinks that they should be getting a payout, part of which is coming out of your pocket.
Tort reform, then?
That's one element of it, but we have many facets. This is not intended to take on one group. It's intended to solve a problem that no one else has taken on before. All right. Are there any? Thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Superintendent. Okay. We want to stay. Do we think there's many, or do we want to just?